Okay. Hi guys. Let's check the sound out first. So can you guys hear me? So just type something in the chat.
Okay.
Staat die aan?
Ja.
Okay, thank you. So I think we have about 30 something viewers or listeners here. I'm here together with Christophe, who's sitting at a safe distance from me. So this is a bit, these are a bit trying times also for us. We've been trying to do some stuff like making videos and slides for you, giving you information on that. So I would like to hear a few things from you guys where we can work on in the first place. If you have, there's a few types of questions you can ask us. So in the first place, in general, on the course on digital methods, how are you doing? Is everything clear? Is everything clear for the exercises, especially for the data wrangling protocol and what you have to do there? So that's one part of the questions you can ask us. Another thing is, of course, about the solutions. I hope you guys took the time to have a look at our solutions, at our videos, protocols, and stuff like that. So if you have any specific questions regarding those exercises, we're here to answer these questions. And finally, I would also love to know how this digital teaching is working out for you guys. Do you have remarks on that? How can we do it better for you? What works best? Is this live streaming something you need, something you want? What could we do more to make the learning experience better for you? So we'll just see your questions appearing in the chat and we'll answer them accordingly. If there's too many questions, we'll just see what we can answer in the time we have. But if there's too much questions, we will just write them down and make another video, another live stream to answer them. So now it's up to you guys. Just shoot any questions you have and we'll try to answer them as good as possible. Kunnen we muziek opzetten?
Ja, in theorie wel.
You can also look at that. That's also an opportunity.
Kom mee.
What do you mean by PL? People? There's 34 people watching this channel, so very little questions, but we have patience.
That's okay.
Okay, I'll start with the first question about, so the question is, well, what do you need to know for the exam? So do you only need to know your own exercise or do you need to know the other exercises? So for the exam, there will be a theoretical part and there will be a part with questions about the exercise. So for the exam, you only need to know your exercise, but this includes, and this is important, this includes both what you guys have been doing and also what we have been doing. So you have to know what our solution is, what our protocols look like, and our logbooks, because you will get questions, for instance, where we will ask you to compare what you did, what we did, how this relates to questions on validity, how the results might be different if you followed your approach and our approach, stuff like that. So we will not ask you questions for other exercises, but of course, there's a kind of voluntarism for this course, in a sense that we're giving you a lot of material that if you are interested in digital methods, you can work with. So even if you're not in the YouTube exercise, for instance, but you're interested in sentiment analysis, it might be very useful for you to just have a look at that and see how this group and we did the sentiment analysis. But this is not exam material. So this is for, well, we assume that some of you are really interested in the course you're following. So that's for these people. Some people also told me digital methods is not their thing. So then you don't have to bother with the extra information. This is just for your learning experience. So there's, broadly speaking, two types of learners that we want to address. So I hope that's an answer to your question. If not, please let me know. What about Python? So do we need to know how to work with Python on the exam? I'll repeat this again, no. So I don't assume you guys to know any programming. Again, this is to make you acquainted with how things can be done if you're going to work in a certain professional context later and you have to work with, for instance, IT people. You will be able to more or less speak the same language. Even if you don't know programming yourself, you have an idea what it does and what you can ask of it. So we don't expect you guys to have the technical skills to do what we did, especially not for the data collection. So the general goal was to make you guys acquainted with how these things work. And so you have a broad idea what you can do with it. And that's important, especially as a communication scientist, you will work interdisciplinary in your job. So if you have in your job to work with IT people, it's really important, or it will help you if you have a general idea what is possible. So you don't have to know any Python for the exam. You don't have to know JavaScript. What you do have to understand, for instance, is if I give you an HTML page of a website, and I ask you, like, suppose we wanted to scrape all the hyperlinks from this page, what kind of HTML element would we need? That is something that I expect you guys to know, because that's something I really addressed during the practical that we also really did together. I will not ask about any random HTML element. So that's important. So if I ask something, it will be really relevant and something we've seen during the practical. Okay, so I hope that's clear for the Python and any other stuff. So you don't have to know it. Again, if you're interested in programming, so there are some students I'm sure of that also wanted to do something in the future that's more in that direction. So this is just for students that are interested to have a taste on how these kind of things work. So that's for the Python. So the next question is about the practical part of the class. Will we have PowerPoints? I must be honest here that I'm a bit confused now because there's already PowerPoints for the practical on Ufora. So the data wrangling practical is on Ufora with the slides. And also there's, I think, 5 YouTube videos on our Digital Methods channel with a practical explanation on how you have to do stuff in Power BI. So I hope these practicals are clear for you, because they're really important to do the next part of the exercise.
and we will release some other practicals on sentiment analysis, data visualization are
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
coming.
So there will be new practicals after this. So next week there will be a practical on natural language processing and more specifically on sentiment analysis. So we have videos on that and slides on that. And I think the week is
After that, yeah.
Yes, a week after that, probably. Is it Easter holiday already? No, I don't know. But there will also be a practical on, well, data analysis, but more in terms of data visualization. So we will be working, or Christophe has been working with a very cool data set on the corona virus. So we will be showing you how to do the visual data analysis for this course. Okay, so if something in my answer is not clear or you have extra questions, please ask them. That's why we're here for. I also see you. There's a question for the infrabel exercise, so I'll give the floor to Christophe.
Oh, yeah. So, okay. So, hi, Zoe. Okay, first of all, it depends on what you want to do, right? So, if you want to merge queries, you basically add other variables and/or rows to different data sets. If you append them, you stack data sets beneath one another. So it really depends on what you want to do. So I can't answer you what you have to do in the infrabel exercise. You can do both. I don't know that. But I will probably start, or would probably start with merging queries. That seems to me a pretty obvious way to go. But I suggest that you just test these two options out, that you append the queries and that you merge the queries or the data sets. And then you just see what Power BI came up with, what the end result is, and whether this is the result you want or not. So short answer, I can tell you, it depends on what you want to do, merging or appending data sets. But I would start merging some data sets here. I hope this is somewhat of an answer to this question.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Use Excel for data. Okay, so the next question is whether you can use Excel for the data wrangling exercise, or do you have to use Power BI? Well, actually, it doesn't matter to us. Well, last year we used both Excel and Power BI, but it doesn't matter in what program you do it. For us, that's the whole point, actually, of the digital methods course. To be honest, if you find a better way to do what you want to do, well, feel free and to do it in Excel. So I think for the YouTube exercise, I've also did first some stuff in Excel and then loaded it into Power BI. So whatever works for you, and that's the most important lesson for this course. Whatever works for you, as long as it works, it doesn't matter. So you can use Excel, you can use any tool if you can program whatever. If you want to use a statistical program for your analyses, please do. So Power BI is just something that's used a lot in a professional context. So a lot of you will get into a job where most of you will not be using statistics in your jobs unless you're doing, for instance, market research. But without any doubt, you will come into contact with data, and Power BI is just a very easy and powerful tool to manipulate and visualize data. So especially for the visualization part, I would suggest that you really try to get a hang of Power BI, because it allows you to do some really cool graphics with not a lot of effort. So, but again, it's up to you. On the exam, there will be no tests on your Power BI skills. So this is just something we offer you to learn that will be really useful in a professional context. But yeah, this is a university, so if you don't feel the need to learn it, that's your choice. So it will not be part of the exam, it's part of the exercises. I hope that answers the question on the Power BI. will we get an overview of what we learn every week? Because it's hard to follow. Yes, I agree. I also already discussed this with Christophe. It's getting too messy. So what we will do is we will make it a document with an overview of where everything is on Vuforia, what videos you need to know, what kind of content you need to know.
But you're already uploading an announcement every week, right? So what they need to learn that week.
So also check Vuforia. So I will upload every week an announcement with what you guys need to know and need to do. But we will still, because we're getting a little bit confused ourselves sometimes, to be honest. So we will make a document with an overview of what we expect you guys to know. So we're having a lot of work at the moment, of course, which is good, because else we would be bored. But we'll do that. But give us some time to get everything in order and everything structured. But of course, don't hesitate to mail us if something is not wrong. If you need some explanations on this or questions on something. So we need to adapt a bit to the current situation. So let's make the most out of that. So I hope that was an answer to your question. It is still a bit unclear what to expect for the exam. Could we get some kind of example questions? Most of you guys did Encyclopédie, and the exam will be more or less be similar to it. Especially the theory part, or the part on the theory lectures. So you will get a few questions on concepts that you need to describe in a few lines. And for that I can release a part of the exam from last year. So I can release the theoretical exam from last year. I will put it on Vuforia, so you can have an idea on some of the questions we asked there. For the exercises part, that's a bit more difficult, but the thing is, if you did the exercises, you should have no problem at all to answer the questions. It's just what we're asking you is a reflection on the exercises. So if you know what you did, if you were involved with the exercises, you should be able to answer those questions. These are not going to be hard questions. This is just a way to check whether you worked on the exercises. So if you did very little on the exercises, or if you didn't make the exercises, you will have a hard time answering the questions on the exam. If you just tried your best for the exercises, then you should have no problem at all. And that's a promise I make. You should have no problem at all in solving the questions on that part. But don't be mistaken about the theoretical part. That is something that last year I noticed that was a bit hard, but then there was also a practical part where a lot of people scored well. So this will be the same for now, but don't underestimate the theoretical part of this course. So again, in a nutshell, I will upload the theoretical exam from last year, and that will be similar, more or less, because last year we had guest lectures. And of course, in this current situation, I had to cancel all the guest lectures. So there will be no questions on the exam about the guest lectures, but it will be something similar. And for the exercises, just make sure you do the exercises, you understand what's happening. And then you shouldn't be worried too much about the practical part. Okay, I see a question for Christophe on the movie exercise.
Yeah, a couple. All right, so hi, Lena. So Lena asks about the movie exercise, and more specifically how I link the Box Office Mojo with the Metacritic and the IMDb information. You already watched the videos a couple of times, so I will just do a very quick recap here. So what the script basically does is it combines all the little scripts that you already got from me at the start of the exercise, so scraping the ratings from IMDb, Metacritic, scraping the Box Office Mojo tables. It combines these little scrapers into one general script. And what it does is it fetches the Box Office Mojo table for a specific year. All right, so you have the ranking of the movies, how much they made, and the title of the movies. And also included in that table is a link to the specific movie page of Box Office Mojo, right? And then the script goes to each and every of these movie pages, and it extracts links to IMDb. It extracts a TT number, and when it has that, it goes to IMDb, and then it tries to access the part on Metacritic with the Metacritic reviews on IMDb. It accesses that and then extracts the Metacritic ID. And now you have basically the ID of a specific movie of Metacritic and IMDb. And then the script goes to both websites and it scrapes the professional critic reviews for Metacritic and the user reviews for IMDb. And it does that for each and every movie in the Box Office Mojo table because this is our starting point. This is where we start. And then if it has scraped the top 100 of a specific year, it goes to the next year. If you want that, for example, 2011, and it does exactly the same, right? So we go from Box Office Mojo, the table in general, we go to a specific movie page. Then we scrape the IMDb TT title, then the Metacritic ID, and we go to both websites and scrape it. I know it's a little bit complex, but if you still have questions on that, please email me because this will take too much time to really explain that any more in detail, Lena. But I hope this answers somewhat your question. Then I will just there's another, but do we have to be able to use Power BI on the exam in a broad or specific way? So I think, Frederik, that they don't have to use Power BI. No, you don't have to use Power BI on the exam as such. So you use Power BI to come up with your answer on your research question for the exercise, but we won't test your Power BI skills on the exam as such. You will just receive some theoretical questions like Frederik just explained, and some questions where you should reflect on your solution or your way of working on the exercise versus our solutions. And that's about it, right? So we won't test Power BI skills. Zoe says, yes, thank you, you're welcome. Stephanie, the Infobel exercise. So what is actually expected for the data wrangling is her question. We are a bit confused. Now, it's kind of a lame answer, let's say, but I don't expect anything. I mean, to be fair, I don't even know how I will do the data wrangling for this exercise. There's no one solution. There's no perfect solution, especially for this exercise, for the Infobel exercise, where we should just give a rough or our best shot, let's say, at an estimation of how many people in Belgium experience a delay by train in a specific day. So what do I expect? It's totally up to you, right? So in the end, you have to look at the data. You will probably have to merge some data sets, right? Because now you have the variables are separate now. So you have the popular times info on Google, and you have the passenger, the estimation of the amount of passengers in a single day in a single station. This is probably something that you want to merge, right? So this a first step could be merging these Google Popular Times data with the passenger estimates, right, in Power BI, and then just work from there, right? So we probably have to do some aggregation on the sample of arrival and departure dates. So you have a very rough data set of around 230 megabytes containing each and every stop of all the trains in Belgium for 3 weeks, 3 constructed random weeks, as I explained in the video. You probably have to do some group by, as in calculate a proportion of trains that are delayed in Ghent, St. Peter's on a Monday, for example. So this is also something that you have to do. So some merging, some group by operations, and then you have to merge this data with the passenger estimations as well, right? So you have to do a second merge. But this is something, a rough idea sketch I have in my head, let's say, of what I will do. But to be completely fair, I don't know what I should expect, right? There are 1,000 ways of doing this. So just look at the data and come up with a solution for yourselves. Okay. Matthias, is it possible to rewatch this live stream? Yes, it is possible. We will give you an update announcement on Ifora for that. Laura says, thank you. So, Frederik, thank you from Laura. Lena, same. Yeah, there you go. Okay, Libra, we wondered if we needed to make a logbook for the data wrangling part. This is something that Frederik can answer.
Well, the logbook for the data wrangling part will be somewhat less extensive than what I expect for the data collection part. So you need to do a data wrangling protocol, and this ties also into the questions you guys have for the data wrangling and that Christophe was answering. So really think, well, you can explore your data, of course, but really think before you act, before you start trying stuff, because you can try 1,000 things. So that's what these protocols are for. So it forces you to think in a structured way. And probably you will do other stuff along when you start to do your data wrangling. So what I will expect from the logbook, the data wrangling logbook, is just what you did different in big lines. So not in too much detail, but so that you just reflect on what was different compared to what you said you would be doing. But I wouldn't. We don't expect a lot of pages for the data wrangling logbook. I think the most important part is the data wrangling protocol, because that forces you to think before you act. And something else that comes to mind about the exercises, because I had some questions through email, and this is really important for everybody. So we uploaded a solution to the exercises. Of course, that's our solution. There's a lot of other possible solutions. Now you have two options, and that's really important to understand. Or you are happy with the way you did the data collection part, and then you can keep on working with those data. But you should really be able to defend that choice. So if you decide to work with your data collection, of course, in the first place, you need to have data sets. And you should also be able to defend to what extent your way of working answers the research question. So, but it's totally okay if you use your own data, but it's also totally okay if you use our data. However, if you use our data, you should be following our protocol. So you should be reading our data collection protocol and work from there. So you should work with our research question, for instance, if you use our data. From a learning experience, I think I'm a bit distracted by questions. For the learning experience, I think it might be the most challenging or most interesting for you guys to use our data. But again, don't feel shy or limited. And if you want to use your own data and own approach, that's fine by me. Okay, so I think it's more or less clear for me now. Thank you. That's Lena. The Libra, we wondered if we needed to make a logbook. Okay, I just answered that. Matthijs, data wrangling is still unclear to me. I don't really understand the concept. Can you explain in a few sentences what it is and what the purpose is? Yes, well, the thing is, data wrangling stands in between your data collection phase and your data analysis phase. In contrast to, for instance, when you do a survey, you have a list with questions, you put them in Qualtrics, and you just export it as an SPSS file, and you can start doing your data analysis, right? So that's a very straightforward way. That's normal in the social sciences. But the thing, of course, is with digital data, you collect this from different sources. In all of the exercises, we expect you to have different data sets. We expect you to need to create new variables, stuff like that. So you you will need to do some data operations. And this is what data wrangling is all about. It's data manipulation. You need to manipulate your data before you can do your analyses. And that is a data wrangling part. And of course, this is not a black and white story because, for instance, for the YouTube exercise, you will see that I did already some data wrangling in a sense that I did some merging on the data sets and stuff like that. So, but in general, you could say there's 3 different steps you need to take. So you collect your data, and then you're going to shape your data so that you have at the end of the day a data set or 1 or 2 or whatever to do your analyses on. So that's just the data wrangling. So make your data set ready for analysis. Okay. If that's still not clear, please let me know. Then we'll see how we can explain it even better. Matthijs, there's a movie exercise question, but I'll first deal with will there still be a presentation for the social sciences? Yeah, for the BSCSS. I'm going to email you guys separately on how we will deal with this, but the answer is yes, but it will be virtual, of course. Too bad, but that's the way we have to go. All right, so for the movie exercise.
Okay, so hi, Marco. So again, it's a kind of a similar question as the one asked about the Infobel exercise. So we don't know how to transform the data. Could you explain what I expect of you? Again, this is really true. I don't expect anything. Similar to the Infobel exercise, I still don't know how I will deal with the data wrangling in the movies exercise. So the point is that you have a list of data sets right now, right? So you have your own data sets, or you use the data sets that we produced and have put online on Ifora. And just as Frederik mentioned, you have these data sets, you collected your data, and now you have to do something with these data sets so you can analyze your data and provide an answer to your research question. And that is a data wrangling. So data wrangling is basically performing operations on your data sets. It is merging, it is pivoting, it's unpivoting, it's filtering, it's creating new variables, creating an index variable, whatever. It's doing a group by. All these operations that you have to do to transform your data so you can provide an answer to your research question. So the point here for the movies exercise is you have to think about what kind of data set do I need to answer my research question in the end. So just a couple of pointers here. This is just at the top of my head here. So you probably want to calculate, let's say, a median score for the professional critics for each and every movie, right? Because now we have all separate review scores for all professional critics for all movies. You probably want to calculate a median for every movie, right? So that means that you have to load your Metacritic professional critics data set into Power BI and do a group by operation where you group by movie title and calculate a median of the scores, right? So this is one thing that you will probably have to do. But in the end, you need a data set where you probably have the score of the users and the score of the professional critics next to one another so that you can compare them. And of course, that you can calculate the difference between for example, the median user score and the median professional critic score for each and every movie, so that you have a data set with, for example, Avatar, a movie, median user score 80 out of 100, median professional critic score 86. Okay, difference is 6, right? And if the audience rates the movie higher than the critics, it will be -6, right? So that you have a scale where above 0 means the critics rated higher, and below 0, the users rated higher. So something like that, right? So, but it's totally up to you what kind of data you want to include. You don't have to use all the data that I give you. Some variables are maybe not needed to answer your research question per se. So yeah, something like that. So it's all up to you. I don't expect anything. Just surprise me, right? And I don't even know how I will deal with the data wrangling. So I hope this kind of gives you some pointers, some starting points here, Marco. Margot, you understand it much better now. Wow. Okay, great. Matthijs, this is clear. Oh yeah, so yeah, that's for Frederik. All right. So, do you have any other questions for Frederik or for me? You can ask them.
Or a good joke.
Or a good joke, yeah, in these troubling times. Yeah, so maybe I can answer that as well. It's a very general question. So, Laura, do we get feedback during the exercise? How do we know that we are collecting the data in the right way or that we are doing as expected? So again, I have to iterate this. I know it's kind of boring by now, but we don't expect really anything, and I swear. So we don't know how. I'm sure for me, and I think also for Frederik, we don't know how our end results will look like. We haven't done the analysis, right? So it's still a mystery to us. We're solving these exercises together with you, right? So this is really, really important. And it's also something to remind you that the philosophy of this course is unlike any other course probably that you have in this program here in this university. So the point is not that you have a correct solution or that we will grade your solution. We won't. The point is that you explore, that you experiment, and that you try to have fun. We have fun at least, but yeah, and that you compare your solution with our solution, and you can go with your solution if you want. I'm not sure that my solution is the best one, whatever, probably not even. So again, just try something out. Wait for if you are completely stuck, you can always come to these Q&A sessions, or obviously contact us, email and all that. But still, if you're not sure about your solution, just wait for the release, let's say, of our data sets, right? So after the data wrangling deadline, we will be releasing our Wrangle data sets as well, right? So if you're kind of stuck or you're not sure about your solution, just compare the results, right? But anyway, you can always ask us questions, right, Laura? So don't be afraid to do that at all, right? Elisa, it's about Infrabel exercise. So do we have to use the Google of Popular Times when we are following your solution instead of our own? Because that was quite unclear from the Infrabel video. If it's unclear, then just email me and I can explain it to you in even more detail, I guess. But what the Popular Times scraper did is it fetched the literally the data of the Google Popular Times, basically. So 100% in the Google Popular Times data set means that in this specific station, that this is the busiest moment of the week for this specific station, right? So if Jens Sint-Pieters Monday scores 20 in the Infrabel Google Popular Times data set, it means that on Monday, let's say 17 o'clock, 20, means that there are 20. If you take the most busy moments in Ghent station of that week, then Monday 5 o'clock in the afternoon is 20% of that most busiest moment of the amount of people, right? You don't have to use this data set at all, right? So if you are really stuck with it and you're thinking, well, we can come up with a solution without using the Google or Popular Times data set, even if the solution is, for example, less valid or less ideal, then just go ahead, right? Just take your best shot. This is basically my answer on that. But still, Elise, if you still have some other questions, just email me. My email, I guess. Don't hesitate to do that. Okay, any more questions? I hope this is pretty clear, Elise. If you have any more questions, please post. Okay. Yes, thank you. Sure, but still, you don't have to say yes, thank you. So if it's really unclear, just email me, right? So don't be afraid. No.
So what do you guys think about this format? Let me know. Is this helpful for you? Do we need to do this every week? Yeah, well, Laura just asking us, so do you want us to do this every week? Okay, then we will just do this kind of session every week. I'll have to think about
The logistics.
the logistics and at what moment. So, but we will do that, and I will communicate about it. My goal would be to do that on a Tuesday, well, when the normal classes should have been done. And I think this is a very useful format. We never had this much questions in a physical setting, so maybe we should always do this in a digital way. So we'll be doing that. The classes can be done in this way. That's a question. Well, we've been discussing that. So that would mean that this would be a format where I have the slides and I'm talking 1 or 2 hours about the topic live. But
yeah, I already uploaded some.
Yeah, we already and we will upload slides with audio. And to be honest, that's a bit more convenient for us to do than to do it live. I also don't know if you guys can have the attention to listen 2 hours to me going on about stuff. It would be hard for me. But what I think the best way is that we upload the slides with sound, so with explanation, and then we have these sessions. To be honest, I really like this session because this allows you guys to come up with a lot of questions and for us to answer them. So, but that implies, of course, that you have a look at the slides first. So, and if something is not clear, then we can have this session, and then I can go more in depth with the explanations. So, and there's also, I think that would be a very good way of working. Okay. So we'll do a weekly session, but if we notice that it's dying out, or there's only a few people, so there's now 30 people from the 120 students. I think this is a minimum. So. But yeah, of course, we will also release the video so people can watch the video again. But of course, if you're not here, there's not a lot of people to ask questions, right? So that's a bit. So let's see how this works. But at the moment, I will do it every week, so you can come up with your questions that you have.
But just to be clear, because there seems to be a little bit of the main thing are the videos on the YouTube channel, right? So our recorded videos and working in Power BI with the slides and all that. This is something extra above, next to that, next to these general videos that we do on data wrangling, for example, or data visualization or sentiment analysis. So, yeah.
So maybe there's some confusion here what is meant by the presentation for the social sciences. This is not for UGent students. So there's only 4 credits for the UGent students on this course, so you guys don't have to do anything extra. For the students of the VUB, so the BSCSS students, they have to do something extra. So I hope that confusion is out of the way. Now, Laura asks, maybe this can be helpful for the practicals as well. Could you elaborate on that question? So do you mean, so now we have these YouTube videos with the practical? Do you guys want us to have also a live session where you can ask questions? But I noticed a few students told me that the practicals were going too fast, and I think this YouTube videos allows you to do things on your own pace. So, but maybe I misunderstand the question. So if you'd like to elaborate on that, Laura, that would be cool. I think it's easier for the classes to have the YouTube clips. Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's maybe a good idea for the next years too. The Libra, I like the slides too with the videos. That's nice to hear. I hope that the resolution of the videos is okay for you guys. So if there's any technical things that that bother you or things that we can do better, yeah, just ask us. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Laura. Okay. So you meant like it is helpful that we can ask questions live. So for the practicals, if you have questions for the practicals that you don't understand, we can do this also. So maybe from next week on, if you have any questions for the practicals, you can ask them there. And it would also be nice if you have questions beforehand. You can send them us by email, and then we can address them in the live stream. Matthias, you're doing a good job. Thank you. I hope you guys are also doing well and doing a good job with the digital material we're giving you. But it's very nice to have some feedback or positive feedback. Because, well, I'm not going to say we don't know what we're doing. We know what we're doing, but we don't know how this is received by you guys. So it's really important to get some feedback on the way we do things, and if there's stuff to improve, really let us know. I actually kind of love this situation to explore some new methods. So in a way, these are good times. A bit lonely, but good. So hi, I'm a social sciences student, and I think I missed this in class, but what would be the extra task? I will contact you guys, so from the VUB, from the BSCSS, with an email, but the extra task is that you have to give an extra presentation on your exercise with your group. But I will contact you guys for the modalities of that task. I hope you guys are holding out okay in this in these times, so that you're not sick, not too bored. There's a lot of interesting YouTube videos to watch. Okay, so we're live now for about 50 minutes. I have the impression that most of your questions have been asked. So unless there's popping up something, I think we can close this session, and I will put an announcement on when the next live stream will be. And as said before, I will also construct a document with a little bit of structure where you can find everything you need to know or to learn for the exercises and for the exam parts. All right. All right. See you guys later. Take care. Be good to yourself and your loved ones. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.